presently becoming dilapidated. The next door neighbors to the property have made an offer to the township to purchase the property for $200 with the caveat that they will in fact demolish the building that is there and return that piece of property to its natural state. The cost of that demolition is approximately $10,000. So at a future meeting, this is by way of information, at a future meeting, I'm sure the council will have to consider accepting that offer. 200 obviously sounds low on the surface, but to in fact get rid of an attractive nuisance, to in fact meet the requests of the neighbors in the area. And I'm told that the next door neighbors, which is the Canning family, were promised the opportunity to purchase that land if and when it became available via the foreclosure route by a previous administration. So I wanted to make you aware. We did look into demolishing the house ourselves, using our own people and our own equipment. Actually, we don't have anything large enough that would be able to take some of the parts down, which would make it rental. Our DPW gave us an estimate of $10,000 to do it with our own people. So I wanted you to be aware of it. We'll be coming forward with an offer at a future meeting, and of course we will be moving forward in selling the other parcels, getting them back onto the tax rolls.
In order to take out the permit to demolish, is it your understanding that they will finish this off with landscaping, and will they be waiving, will we be waiving various fees to do that?
They asked for that, Councilman. They asked for us to do that. I talked to Mr. Vernon, who was amenable to doing it, our building inspector. I haven't gone so far as to talk about landscaping or the like. I really promised them that I would run this idea by the council and see whether or not there was a willingness to accept the offer before we went to a formalization of it. If there is, obviously we'll get down to more specific conversations, but the term that was used by Mr. Canning was return it to its natural state. They're not interested in buying it to build on. They will add it to their property and we'll put it back on the tax rolls.
That'll be an encumbrance on the land or not?
Which will
be restricted? In other words,
again, I didn't
easement for
that's a
non-building?
possibility in conversations. I really didn't explore that with the neighbors. And I certainly would follow the lead of the council on that if you felt that that was necessary.
This house needs to go.
Well, there's no question about that part of it. I don't think anyone would disagree. It was the subject of several television news situations not too long ago, and I can tell you that the neighbors who live adjacent to it have often communicated with me about when can we do something about this, and so we have the opportunity to move ahead now. The second thing I'd like to report to the council, and I apologize for my tardiness, but I was representing Vernon Township at the Sussex County Army Community Covenant signing, which took place this evening at the Picatinny Arsenal. The Community Covenant signing actually is the start of I think, exciting program that we'll be hearing more and more about. But in essence, it's designed to bring our community, Sussex County, as well as Vernon, and I will tell you that most of the 24 communities of Sussex County were represented this evening for a symbolic signing that will, in fact, enhance the interaction of the Arsenal with our communities and our businesses and our educational institutions, and in fact will allow us to demonstrate our support of that facility and of course the things that they do there. I was quite impressed to find out that in 2011, of the 10 best inventions awarded by the U.S. Army, 6 of them were designed, developed, and completed at Picatinny Arsenal. And many of them were worked on by residents of Sussex County and residents of Vernon. So I would simply say, stay tuned. I'll be bringing you more information on that. It's an exciting program, and I think it has the benefit of allowing us to let our soldiers and our veterans know that we support them, and at the same time develop a working relationship with a very important employer over 5,000 civilians employed at Picatinny Arsenal, and better than half of them live in Sussex County. The next thing that I'd like to report to the council has to do with the first step in a program that has been designed and developed by your administration, this office, and with the help of Mr. Gimes, to deal with the issue of harassment and discrimination within this government. Today, presented by an attorney by the name of Deborah Rosenthal from Kiefer and
Gebhardt.
And Kiefer. Exactly. We had a full day of work that set the legal platform for our employees to be able to understand, recognize, and be aware of those things that are potential problems in terms of interpersonal relationships as it relates to harassment and or discrimination vis-a-vis sex, race, ethnicity, disability, and I would simply tell you that I was impressed by the level of knowledge of our people, their commitment, and you will be hearing more as we move forward with this education process. Our employees understand that this is an important and significant situation, and I want to thank Mr. Gimes for his effort. I want to thank D&H Associates, who are our risk managers, who made it available to us. Debbie is a representative of the state fund and has in fact defended our community on several occasions in the past. And so as you gentlemen have requested of this administration, we have not only begun, but we are well on the way to changing the culture that has been of concern to all of us in the past. The last announcement that I'd like to make to you, I think, is a significant one that we all can be very proud of. Yesterday, we held training in this room for the first video arraignment system in northern New Jersey. With the leadership of Judge Devine and the cooperation of our police department and again, Mr. Gimes in the business administration department, for an expenditure of approximately $13,000, Vernon Township now has the ability to arraign without having to go to the county jail or, for that matter, any other institution and bring prisoners here. Now, that may not sound very significant until you realize that when we go to the jail to pick up prisoners, it's usually with police officers who are on overtime. It takes 2 officers, and in fact, in calendar year 2011, approximately 25% of our overtime budget was expended in this activity. Our overtime budget, for example, in 2011 was just over $160,000. This money will not be expended. In addition, we will be able to arraign felons or people who have had bench warrants issued to them for them in out-of-state situations without having to send our officers to go and get them. It's a tremendous savings. It's on the cutting edge of technology, using technology to save money, and I think that our people that are involved in the court here, being Donna Zeidema and Lindsay, as well as Judge Devine and our own staff, are all to be commended. I look forward to savings and invite those who are interested to come on Tuesday when we hold our court and see how it works.
Good job. Thank you.
My pleasure. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Wenzel, do you have anything?
I'd just like to compliment the DPW for the outstanding work that they're doing on Lake Pochunk Road. It's now about 6 feet wider than it has been in the past.
Oh, that's great.
Excellent, excellent.
Pardon me.
That's all I have.
Councilmember Zeno?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, Mrs. Cordell, I share in your concern with mosquitoes. I can remember when we walk outside, sometimes they feel like they're going to carry you right off. One of the things that we can do is to build birdhouses for a purple martin. A purple martin is a bird that eats, like somebody told me, about 3 times its body weight of mosquitoes on a daily basis. but you have to be able to construct a birdhouse that's specific to this particular bird. How do I know? Up in Vermont, they have purple martins all over the place, and especially in Redmond. So it's just something to put out.
A good fundraiser.
A good fundraiser, right? That's not a bad idea. The second thing is plaudits and compliments to the mayor and his staff for the video arrangement. The fact that he was able to bring us a budget this year that did not go up 1 penny, a tax rate that does not go up 1 penny. This is the type of forward thinking that enables that type of action to take place. My compliments to the mayor and your staff, very well done. And I'm sure Judge Devine is going to like it. He's kind of a forward thinking guy too.
He is indeed, he is indeed.
I apologize to Crawford. Huh? Thank you so much. Councilmember Kadish.
Just a question on the ratio. If the ratio is 95%, won't the rate come down if we're keeping the budget exactly the same?
Actually, it would if it were not for the loss of assessed value, Dan. But let me just simply say this. If there is any way, I know for sure that the tax will not go up and the tax rate will not go up. If there is any way to make it go down, we will do it. And that may happen. We're still in the deliberation process. What I delivered to you gentlemen is a work document. And certainly as we go forward, there may very well be modifications that you see fit to suggest and we put into the budget. But at the very least, there will not be a tax increase due to the operation of municipal government in Vernon Township this year. If it's at all possible to meet all of the requirements that we have in terms of unfunded mandates and other responsibilities and lower the tax, you won't have to twist my arm. I'll be happy to do it.
I don't think the problem is the municipality. The problem will be the county.
Well, again,
The destruction that took place.
yeah, it's hard to describe it as a problem. And I'm not taking any credit here, but gentlemen, 123 bridge projects are under construction or revision at the present time. I mean, just think about that, okay? Think about what we spent in terms of fixing what we were responsible for. They definitely have some significant financial hurdles that they're gonna have to overcome. You know, if we, and this comes from my experience in the 80s, when we had the kind of liaison that we're now developing with the school board, when the township had the opportunity to keep the tax rate level or lower it because the schools needed it, because we had to be adding a new school or whatever, that kind of cooperation between all three levels of government would be an ideal situation. It isn't going to happen overnight, but I can tell you that the bridges are being built. And I can also tell you from conversations that I have had and liaison meetings that I've taken part of in with Board of Education, they are also striving to, in fact, their tax increase this year. If they should do that and we should do it, maybe it's the year where the county gets a little bit of help because of the burden that they're carrying. We'll see how it all works out. As you all know, it's not in our purview to control, but we certainly are communicating with both of those levels of government in a manner and a way that has not occurred in the past, recent past at least. And so there's hope that we'll be able to succeed.
If Councilman Kadish allowed me just a second, Councilman Wetzel and I, along with the mayor, did meet with the school board for a liaison meeting Monday this past week, and the cooperation that we receive from them, as usual, is always very, very good. They appreciate the tax situation, and the board president and the superintendent both acknowledge their desire to keep costs under control as much as possible, and it's their target, it's their hope to be able to bring in a flat tax increase or hopefully a flat tax rate so that there's no increase to the community on behalf of because of the school board tax.
That would
They
be
were
great.
very helpful, and I compliment them on their perspective of being able to see what's necessary.
I would like to go back and simply express my support for both Gary and Krista in their concerns. Number one, I don't know why, but I spent 2 or 3 days trying to get online. I don't know if it's out of order or if it's my machine or what, but finally did. And I think the resolutions should be able to be brought online. Otherwise, it's incomplete information, and this is an administration that touted to be as transparent as possible. The second thing is this idea that in this county, 36% don't make it above the poverty level. Brings to mind that, well, first of all, I watched both my parents grow old. My mother-in-law, in fact, she collapsed in front of the A&P, and I had a heck of a time trying to get her up and in the car, and had to take her to the hospital several times. Watching Costa Gerard, and we are a county which not only is 36% below the poverty level, but we're also an aging county. And as you all know, most of our children leave the county after they're educated here. So the idea that we have a well-run facility in the homestead, really you should explore and I think investigate what's going on and make sure that you support the current operation. And I think it's a very important issue. Thanks.
Councilmember Dunn.
I just wanted to make a positive comment about our session yesterday about the sign ordinance. We learned a lot. I think, was it Craig? Yeah, and we learned a lot. He was extremely helpful, Mr. Mayor. Please convey that it was a very positive experience. We went through the painful exercise of reading a lot to educate ourselves, but he came across what I think a sign ordinance, I think, is probably about 80–90% in the box for us. It's not perfect, but I think it's doable, and I think there was a strong consensus. I think there's some work that needs to be done, but I think we're close to a sign ordinance that we can get across the finish line. And I'm very positive about that. I think it's long overdue. I think it was in the works for 2 years, I believe, Dick. I think it was over 2 years. And I think with a little bit of adjustments and a little bit more research, I think we've got something pretty substantive. So, but that was a good positive experience, use of our time yesterday that I thought was worth it. Okay.
I'm sure that he'll be happy to hear it.
Yeah.
He certainly could give you his perspective from the man who has to enforce it.
Yes, and that was the other part of the education about how to enforce it, you know, like in his experience in this area, 8 years,
Sure.
which is pretty significant, so.
Absolutely. I'll see to it that he gets your message.
Anything else?
No, that's it, Mr. President.
I wanted to touch on the sign ordinance, but since Councilmember Dunn already did, I just want to say that we are probably going to have one more work session on the sign ordinance. But I'd also like to thank the mayor for putting together so quickly the capital budget plan and having that work session with us on the 4th of February, right before the Giants won the Super Bowl. And I knew that had to make that statement.
I think that was the reason why they won.
But I have to say that I'd like to thank the road department for keeping the streets clear of snow. They've done a wonderful job this winter. And we're gonna pay for that now because I opened my mouth, right?
I wish you hadn't done that.
But they've been catching up on a lot of other things,
Yes, they have.
and I've noticed that some overdue things are being taken care of, and yeah, that's one example.
Some of the other things, not to interrupt you, Mr. President, that are happening that are kind of transparent because we just take it for granted. The repair of some 500 catch basins has begun.
Right.
And that's not an overnight project. Our DPW is addressing it, and so.
Thank you. Seeing that we have no other business to be conducted on the agenda, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by
Second.
Councilmember Rizzuto, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.